Let's go ahead. My name is Tracy Davis, but you can go ahead and call me TJ.
Right. I'm Justin.
Really, what we do on the podcast, or I guess it's more so focused around what we talk about. What we talk about is mainly evolution. We expand our horizons, man. There's no telling how far we'll be, but definitely we talk about things to try to, how can I say? I'll put it like this: things that we see that need a conversation just within our community. And that's mainly the target audience as well. So when we speak, we're not just speaking to, we're not just speaking to each other. We're not just speaking to the camera, just talking to ourselves. We're actually trying to get a message out to our community.
Can y'all tell me where the name of the podcast came from?
The podcast name just came from initially just us like having a conversation with like, okay, we want that to be centered around the name, but something that people can, attach themselves to anytime they just have a real conversation, right? So that same day, and I know you probably gonna ask us, how the podcast came about and all that.
Yeah.
But we'll keep that for later. But the same day, we were listening to a song by Kevin Gates. It was called "Sit Down," and that actual song we was listening to, and we was like, yeah, man, we're gonna call this a sit down. We're gonna call this a sit down podcast. So yeah.
When you think about like a meeting, you typically think like, oh, just a bunch of old heads sitting around, really talking. No one's actually interested. That's why we decided to call it a sit down, because it's not just a meeting. It's more of a live experience, if you will. Because not only do we do the podcast, but we do the podcast on Facebook. So it's more, they can see it more than anything.
Right.
We keep engaged with us. We make sure that, we talk to them, not just talk to ourselves.
So what has been one of y'all favorite conversations that y'all have done so far?
Man. It's really too. Okay.
Well, top two at least.
Okay. I'm gonna let him say one, and I'm gonna say, I gotta do it. I'm gonna just go out and say the very first one was like really the takeoff point for the sit down podcast with everything in our conversation. That first podcast it literally happened right after Ahmaud Arbery's death.
I want to say
George Floyd, right? So it was Ahmaud Arbery. That's what initiated everything, and then going into it, George Floyd had passed away. Initially, when we was having the conversation before we even did the podcast, we were initially fed up with saying all that. Like, we were mad. We were like, we gotta do something about it. Like, you know what? We need to talk about it. And all of this came about while we was playing basketball. We weren't even at home, literally. Yeah. We were on the court, playing ball, and we like, man, we need to do something about this. We need to do something about it.
Yeah.
So, you can't just sit around.
Right. So, did that. We're like, okay, boom, we're just gonna do it. So we went to where did we go to eat at? Tony's. Went to Tony's, got something to eat. Right. Went to Tony's, got something to eat, came straight home and just hopped right on the live and just went into it. To be honest, it really wasn't even there wasn't any topics. We just all right,
no type of format.
No, we just went on, was like, all right, listen, this is how we feel about it. XY. We basically had a conversation with each other. We just put a camera in front of us. That's basically it.
Let me see. You got to think, we've been doing this since last May? That's close to 2 years. Man, look. But if I had to choose, I'd probably say one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be one of our most recent ones. Yeah. Because it was just everything about it was on point. It was based around faith. And it was basically just pointing out that sometimes, we tend to fall into things that are not necessarily for us and right for our path of, our journey. You got to be aware enough to understand when things are not right for you.
Yeah. What was one of the things that came out of that?
It was a comment that was left that literally just captured the whole podcast in a whole. It was a preacher that made, like a small storyline. And it was based off of a waiter and a couple. And the waiter was that's what it was. Don't get full
appetizers.
Right. Yeah, it was the topic was appetizers and it was something.
Appetizers and entrees.
Yeah, appetizers and entrees. And the whole thing was not to get full off your appetizers because you're not gonna be ready for your entree?
I think one of the biggest takeaways had to be one of the comments from that episode because, and I'm not gonna lie, I had to pull it up just so I wouldn't even mess up the verbatim.
Exactly.
You know like she basically the comment took everything that we was talking about in the span of like 45 minutes to like an hour.
Right.
Summed it up in maybe like
three sentences. Yeah, 3 sentences, right.
The comment says, sometimes the things you step out on faith to fix can show where your heart is too. You may have the exact level of faith you need. It's just probably in the wrong area of your life and needs to be shifted. That comment, that's that really comment, when she posted that comment on that podcast, it was like, it fell silent because we was trying to read what it said.
Read what it said, right. But, yeah. The majority of the time on our podcast, we just like a body. That's about it. You know, we're just a source. They really like take over. Yeah. Like once we get into a topic and we get flowing and everything, after that they really take over everything. We just, we basically just watch the clock. That's it.
Y'all been doing this for almost 2 years, right? But y'all have known each other for longer. So how long have y'all known each other? And you can see it in like the chemistry that you two have, like y'all know how to bounce off of one another. So if y'all can like tell the story about how y'all met, how y'all became friends, and like why.
Oh, that's good. Oh yeah.
Why y'all wanted to make a podcast out of it,
Yeah. All right. You want to be
so?
Yeah. Okay. You got it.
Cause me and Justin have stayed. Like this our whole life, like this, almost inseparable. You know what I'm saying? But I don't even remember how we first met.
It was okay. I got you. I'll pick up where you left off. So, where we first met was at the center, our neighborhood center. Now, specifically, what it was, I think it was at the pool table.
It had to be.
It had to be. And so, basically, what I'm trying to remember it to a T, so you can really get how relationships are. It was because we met at the pool table, and everybody was playing pool. And at the time, everybody didn't know how to play pool. This man was like already an expert at 9 playing pool. So and I'm over there watching him. I'm like
taking grown people,
right? Like he over there busting people. And I'm like, I don't like that. I don't know how to play, but I'm gonna get in there and do something. So I got on the table. I did a little something. Of course, I lost, but I did a little something. But literally after that, it was like he was like, "Dang, bro, I ain't never played nobody like that. You pretty good. But let me teach you something." So it was like that. It was like one of those things we got attached to each other. Like,
and once we connected over that, we already had so much in common. We just didn't know. Every day, it's just, even to this day, like 13, 14, 15 years later, bro, I'm still finding out new stuff about this man. Like, I feel that same way, bro.
For real. So, that's how it started. And after that, it was we hit the ground running. Yeah. We basically was doing that summer. We basically just did everything together.
Didn't we play Pop Warner ball too?
Yeah, he played football for Pine Forest at one point in time. Tiny Mike.
We was on the same Tiny Mike team.
Yep. So that's where it started. And I feel like our friendship really got tighter is when we got into the program called 5,000 Role Models. And a lot of people don't know about that program for real. But at the time, this was, I think, my junior year, our junior year, and he was the president. I wasn't doing nothing. I was just playing sports and, being like that. So, he had came to me and was like, "Hey, bro, sign up, to be, 5,000, be a part of the program. I think you'll like it." And I wasn't going for it. I don't really do, programs. I'm gonna just stay in my lane. I'm gonna, do what I need. Yeah. But, he every day he just kept, "Hey, think about it. Did you think about it? Think about it." One day I just came and just sat down, and like after that, it was history. And then the next year I became president of the whole program. Yeah. So we basically feed my whole point. We feed off each other. In certain seasons of our life, it'll be the point where I'm pushing him, and then they'll flip around. Now he pushing me. So it's like at any point in our lives, we always pulling for one another. Listen, you really get the inside scoop. Like a lot of people don't know. So when you post this or put it on wherever you put it on, like you really putting it out there. But the real thing is like people really don't understand the things that we've been talking about. We've already talked about it.
Exactly.
Like being in his driveway, I'm talking. It's 11 o'clock at night. We've been talking since starting at 11 and now it's 2 o'clock in the morning and we still talking. We done stopped the conversation, went inside, played the game, ate, or he done cooked something, we done ate, came back outside, now we talking again. So these conversations don't, feel like, people may feel a little bit of pressure from it because they are serious conversations for our generation. But for us, it's like, we've been talking about this.
Definitely.
And it's not. And at the same time, even though we have had people in our lives that, mentored us and be around us that could teach us these things, but for majority of our time, our conversations were literally our conversations. There was no one else in it. It was just me and him going off of each other and really picking each other's brains.
So like you guys talked about like those like high school years, between like 13 and 18. And like I went to Wolfson and like
Pause. You went where?
Yeah, I went to Wolfson.
What year?
I graduated 2015.
That's why. Okay. He was like 2 years ahead of us.
2 years ahead of us. That's crazy.
I got 2015.
So you never ran? Did you ever see us? Like, do we look familiar to you?
That was a long time ago. It's a long time ago.
I get it.
And if y'all was like, if y'all graduated in 2017, I was in the books. I was.
Yeah, you was gone. You was gone. Yeah, you weren't paying. You was doing your thing, right? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I was in programs during that time, and I have mentors and teachers and like guidance counselors that really like helped me hone what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, right? So like I had English teachers that were like, you need to get into writing, and that paved the way. So do y'all have mentors to where y'all check in? If y'all want to shout them out, if y'all want to, give them some.
Oh, bet. Oh, man. You ready? Oh, you ready? Mr. Hill, Mr. Jet. Who else? Keep going. Who's next? It's like so many, and it's mentors. It's so big because some we do have like Mr. Hills and Mr. Jet. Those are the ones that we had together. But it's so many that we had individually on our own time, like separately, that is really so much down the line that we really couldn't name. But so I gotta shout out Mr. Hills, Mr. Jet, and then my professor Robert Johnson. Okay. I gotta shout out those three because those three I feel like definitely made an impact for the podcast because Mr. Jet and Mr. Hills, those two guys were a part of 5,000 role models. They were our mentors at that time.
In high school, those were the guys that were pushing us towards everything that basically we're doing. I'm gonna say this: 5,000 role models set the standard, set the tone for what's happening now. To be honest, we were doing beautification around the school. To be honest, we were having mentors come in and speak to us through the 5,000 role models. That's why when you ask about mentors, it's kind of hard to tell you because I done had so many throughout life. Like you said, not even just we don't have mentors together. We've had mentors individually. It's like every single one of them has had a very impact. Yeah, your impact. Yeah, and that's the one thing that I don't care what it is. As a mentor, you need to understand that your impact matters. It does. Their impact definitely has a great impact on the one that I'm leaving here now. 5,000 Role Models is one of the programs that gets overlooked by a lot of people. Because it's just the things that they do. It doesn't, necessarily catch anybody's attention off the first time you hear it. You gotta sit with them and actually be a part of that. Understand exactly.
You gotta exactly. We wouldn't be who we were if they weren't in our ear. Our junior and senior. I was going through what I was going through mentally. Like we was going through stuff our junior and senior year, really just trying to figure out who we were as a person.
Exactly.
So with those two guys coming in, or 5,000 in general, but those two role models, you know, coming in and like staying in our ear, it was like, you know, they gave us that chip on our shoulder, like, all right, this what we want y'all to, you know, do. We see it in y'all. We gonna groom you for this. We gonna groom you for that. So when you leave, you know, you'll be ready. And that's basically what they did. They trained us for this.
That sounds good. So we're gonna switch gears just a little bit. We're gonna get into like pop culture, just cultural references, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all know about this, but there is this new sector of the internet called the manosphere. And it's a part of the internet where it's usually male-centered podcasts. And a lot of them use words like high value man, alpha male, you know, the Kevin Samuels, the fit and fresh of the world, you know, that DJ Academics of the world.
Right. Yeah.
And there are a lot of critiques of that part of the internet. Right. And you both are two male-dominated black men, and it's usually black men, but it's a male-dominated podcast. How do y'all feel, or what do y'all think about the critiques of the community that you all are a part of?
So I think we need to answer this individually, because I know we got two different, we probably don't, to be honest, because we basically think the same sometimes on some occasions, but majority of the time we do think the same. But anyway, we are not opposed from anything like that. Like, you know, a female, you know, being on a podcast and expressing, we don't, you know, that we welcome that. And then on top of that, to add to number two, we had a whole podcast strictly for women. Yeah. Like, we had a whole podcast about women, like strengthening women, well, especially black women at that. We literally had a whole podcast about it. So now I'm gonna answer your question. I just had to put that out there. I had to put that out there, because there is no Kevin Samuels, no DJ Academic, none of that on here. We not doing none of that. On one side, it is sad, because a lot of the things that you do here on social media, it does, you know, bring a bad light to women when they do talk about certain things, and it's like come on now, why? You know, I get it. You know, you trying to, you know, build people up, but it's a certain way to do that. And on the other side, sometimes it makes sense, but I feel like because of, you know, their platform and how they, you know, became, you know, famous or whatever and got all that, I feel like it distracts a lot of people from the actual message when it is, you know, useful. So like I said, for the most part, I feel like it's just how they started. And then of course social media put publicizing all the bad stuff, you know, and then all the good stuff you would have to be on their live feed to actually see it, or like do your own, you know, research to actually see what they're about. But like I said, all the good ones probably get thrown in the dirt because of all the bad ones that's just on social media, that stay on social media, that anytime their name comes up, that's what else comes up. So that's how I feel about that.
Let me just say, I love women. I didn't want to put that out.
I love women. I'm trying to tell you, love women. You got a girlfriend, right? Yeah, I do. I got one too, right? I got one.
Not
too.
what I think I got one.
No, I'm saying we just gotta let you know, like, we love women. Like, you know, you got one. You got one. I got one. I think some of our friends got one. So yeah, our circle loves women. We have mothers, you know. So and forget we got mothers. So
I'm gonna put it like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this. Everybody got their own faults. Everybody got times when they're right. Everybody got times when they're wrong. Number one, sometimes I feel like females set themselves up because certain things should not be recorded. And we'll just leave it at that. Certain things should not be recorded. But there is a certain way that you go about everything. It's not about what you say, but it's about how you say it. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like the thing about, the academics, the Fit Fresh, you know what I'm saying, the Kevin Samuels, is that when they usually make those videos, it usually goes under the impression that they're trying to bash, black women, trying to bash women in general. I mean, truthfully, in reality, his message is maybe getting misconstrued. You know what
think so.
It's a possibility.
I'm just asking.
It's a possibility. But what I'm saying is, just the way it's really just about the way that they go about it.
Yeah, man.
If they maybe worded it a little differently, then they probably wouldn't receive the attention that they get. But until we can fully recognize the power of our words, we not gonna be equal,
especially as men.
Yeah, and that's just what that's basically what it's doing. This feed, all this negativity is just keeping us separate.
Yeah,
because think about it. I mean, even going back to the Genesis, the woman was made from the rib of a man. We went from you was made from me to I don't even need you. You know what I'm saying?
That part.
I don't need you for nothing. How? How?
Yeah.
Like you can't reproduce without a woman and a man. You can't, you have to have all the quality stuff.
This is my last question about it. Do you think that they profit off of embarrassing Black women?
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because even if I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna tell you like this. They don't even gotta believe what they're saying.
It's true.
They don't have to feel the way, they say they feel. Truthfully, thing that academic Kevin Samuels, Fit Fresh, thing that all the boys got in common is that they get paid to invoke emotion in a way. The things that they say is what keep you coming back to their podcast, right? So if they making you feel something, then you're gonna come back.
Yeah.
Right.
If they're saying something that you feel like is just, ludicrous and absurd, then what's the first thing you're gonna do?
Share it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the negative press is gonna get you more, attention than the positive press is. Because a lot of look, as soon as you be like, oh, I don't even know what bro was talking about. You going for this, and this. You could start a conversation, get somebody. B, you could get somebody who will agree with you. C, man, honestly the options are endless. But the point I'm trying to make here is they get paid to invoke emotion. So even if some Black women do feel embarrassed, I mean, at that point, I just feel like, and this is not to bash anybody, but if you get, offended by something somebody else is saying, you need to take another look at yourself, because it's possible that shoe fits, even if they're not talking about you.
Even if they're not talking about you. I will have to agree. I don't feel like they get paid for bashing women. I feel like they get publicized for bashing women.
Okay.
I feel like, they get all their buzz when they do, have those type of conversations, and it, the conversation turn into, you just a terrible person. How tall are you? How much you weigh? Like when they get all that, when they get all that type of stuff, it's like, well, now it's turning into, okay, you done bash another woman, and people all know about clickbait, so it's like somebody can easily screen record that one sentence that the man said, or screen record whatever was that one conversation. Because I've seen it so many times, especially with Kevin Samuels conversations. People will only record that one thing,
and then leave off
even a good conversation, bad conversation, doesn't matter. They'll still take that one thing that's terrible, edit it up, say, oh, he did the most, and publicize it.
So y'all started a podcast for a reason. What space do y'all think y'all fill up that was vacant before y'all started it?
Oh,
one word: The bridge.
Dang, let's get out my head. Dang, get out my head.
We the bridge.
Definitely.
Because hey, young people not really gonna understand the old heads like that. The old head don't really understand the young people like that.
Oh man, that's
but
tough.
When you got somebody who come, you know what I'm saying? It's like J. Cole being in the middle of the two generations at
one time.
You know, you got the older generation and you got the younger generation where they can't meet in the middle. That's where we come in because we understand both sides.
And also, I feel like, again, it was how we grew up. Because again, how we grew up really affected, how we spoke to one another and how we spoke to other people. We were literally around old heads all day. Older.
We come back to the neighborhood and it's really like a big family.
Why we feel like so strongly that we are the bridge, because a lot of the times where you would see conversations where, older generational people would try to talk to the younger generation, it would always be, the younger generation not wanting to hear it. Yeah. Us two will always be the ones that just stayed there and be like, all right, even if we knew it was something crazy, or even if we thought like this is nothing, we would still sit there and, experience that, like, because, and this is just my opinion, if you ever just hang around, and you being a Black woman, if you just hang around an older women group, an older Black women group, you would be surprised about, how they talk to one another being that age. And you can learn a lot just by sitting there. My mom would always get her hair done every 2 weeks. And I would go to one side to the barbershop and then come back to the beauty salon, because of course, I ain't gonna lie, I was a mama's boy. I still am. I love my mama. But it's like, I would come, when I was done getting my hair cut, I would go back to the beauty salon and just sit there. And I would sit there, but why? Like, see, they thought I wouldn't listen, but I was tuning in to everything they was talking about. And you learn a lot. Like, they was talking about, how women actually like to be loved, how women actually like to be touched. Like, even though it's conversations that I probably shouldn't have been listening to, I was listening to it, but you learn a lot. It's not a bad thing to learn how somebody else did it before you, so you can have that and, and add it to your bag to how you do stuff, collaborate, whatever. And then it's like it's like really an equation. You take your experience that you have now, add it to the experience that was already given to you, which is the older generation, and it equals a better life. I feel like in our generation now, it's been the whole, and we talked about this so much on our podcast, it's my way or the highway. We gonna do this. We don't need no help. I got it.
Man, our generation so funny, dog. Like, we the generation, and it's sad to say, Gen Z, man, known for, I don't need no help, but I'm gonna complain through every step through.
Again, you bringing up a lot of stuff that we done talked about in our podcast. And I feel like the biggest thing is, and that's what we miss, because listen, you just need to talk to us more often, because you bringing out a lot of the podcasts. No, seriously.
We about to put you on the podcast.
Like, seriously, because you bringing up a lot of these topics.
So if you can just tell the people where to find you, how to listen to your podcast, how to watch it, what's next.
Great.
That would be amazing.
Wonderful. So, you wanna get down?
So. The podcast, the Sit Down Podcast, goes live every Friday. So it starts at either 7 or 7:30. You can get it on Facebook. We are going to different streaming platforms soon.
Very soon.
So once we go ahead and make that move, we'll drop all the links on the Facebook page. But for now, if you on Facebook, go ahead and like the page. It's Fall in Line Entertainment.
FIM.
Fall in Line ENT.
Yeah, so Fridays on the page, Fall in Line ENT, 7 or 7:30.
All right. Well, I thank y'all for your time. I really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Looking forward to talking to you guys again.
Please.
We
love these type of conversations. We needed a third party to ask us some questions. Definitely. But we definitely enjoyed you.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate y'all, for real.